Hey, I'm Val Lofton, and we're going to be covering RunSignup 101. And this one's going to be a little bit different because we're going to be focusing in on our onboarding guide. And this is going to be specific to like brand new races that really haven't set up a race or many races on the platform that need help getting through that race wizard, and specifically that payment account portion that can be our most difficult section to navigate through. So diving in, meeting our onboarding team. Like I said, I'm Val Lofton. I'm our lead onboarding manager. We have Katie Atherton, who is our onboarding account manager, and then Blair Lohman, who is an onboarding account representative. Once you create a new race onto the platform, if you meet certain criteria, you would be receiving a call from one of us and helping you through that onboarding process, making sure that your race is ready to open, your payment account is approved, and then introducing you to your next level of support. Today's agenda, we're going to be covering that race setup, which is going to be the race wizard in each step of those. We're going to focus in a lot on our payment account setup. We're going to be talking about navigating that race dashboard because it can be a little bit overwhelming for new race directors. And then just a little bit about the race website and certain things that we look for to make sure that your race is ready to open. So diving into that race wizard for our race setup, there are seven tabs that you're going to end up going through. The first thing that you do need to do, of course, is create a race. There's a couple of different ways that you can do this. If you're a first-time user and have never created a race before, you can do that just by going to runsignup.com, and there's that pink create a race button up at the top. And then if you have created a race previously, or if you are a race director listed on one, you can navigate to your profile and then my races, and then you'll see a blue create a new race button up at the top that you can do. So those are the two different ways that you can get to the race wizard and creating that new race. So step one is going to be just your race basic information. Your race name really should be short and sweet, something that people can remember. You don't really want to add your title sponsor into that race name, and you want it to be as short as possible, something that, like I said, participants are going to be able to remember and navigate to. It's also going to be part of your URL usually, and so you don't want it to be too long. The race description should really be a very quick, short overview of what your race is about. You don't want to add too many details in there, like race parking, packet pickup, awards, things like that. All of those details can be added later in different sections, and you want to just keep that race description short and to the point so that people know what your race is about and what it's benefiting. The race location information is required even if you are having a virtual race. So you will want to actually put the physical address of the race where the race is going to be taking place. If you have a virtual race, you do have to use a real zip code, but you can manipulate the address line 1 as well as the city, so that way you can add in a virtual race, any town, anywhere, my town, something like that, to make it a little bit more well known that it is a virtual run and you can do it from anywhere. You will also want to just double check that the time zone is correct. It usually auto populates based on the zip code that you enter in there. So the URL will automatically populate based on the race name that you have chosen. If you do want to update that, you're going to want to make sure that you don't use things like the year of the race or an identifier like 5th annual or 6th annual. The URL is something that does roll over from year to year. That increases your Google ranking and your SEO. So you want to make sure that it is short and it is able to identify your race. You will be able to build out short URLs later if you do have a long race name or a long race URL. You can also bring over a custom domain. So if you own the best5k.com ever, you're able to bring that over once the race setup is complete. When you're setting up your events, you're going to want to make sure that you are offering an event for each distance that is being offered at your race. So if you have a 5K, a 1 mile, and a 10K, you're going to want to make sure you set up 3 different events within your race wizard. The race type is going to be how that race or how that event is going to be searchable within our race calendar. So you want to make sure that you choose run or walk, or your virtual race are going to be your most popular. The only one that I tend to tell people to shy away from is your nonprofit event, because not a lot of people are coming to RunSignup to search for nonprofit events. So you'll want to make sure that you're choosing run only, run or walk, virtual race, that kind of thing. And like I said, if you do have more than one distance, you're going to want to make sure that you use the orange tab that says add another event. For our hybrid events, you're going to want to make sure that you do set up 2 separate event types. So you're going to have your in-person 5K option as well as your virtual 5K. And then just underneath the type of event, you're going to be choosing for the in-person, your run or walk. And then for your virtual 5K, you're going to be choosing virtual race/challenge. And that will allow you to enable our virtual tools such as the results, bib numbers, people being able to upload their own photos, things like that. In step 1, you're going to be able to set up your processing fees. You have 3 different options. Processing fees can be paid for by the registrant. The processing fee can come out of the charge of the race, or you can split that processing fee 50-50. Remember that it is a transactional based processing fee and not per person. The majority of races are going to be having that processing fee paid for by the race registrant. And we only really typically see it coming out of the charge is if you start getting into the longer distances, such as half marathons or marathons, and those registration fees tend to be more expensive than your typical 5K. We do offer flexible gender options. You can allow people to choose a non-binary or prefer not to say. Just the only caveat with that is that you are going to want to make sure that you talk with your timer, so that way they know what gender categories you are offering and that they're able to accommodate that. If you already know who your timer is going to be, you can add them at the bottom of step 1. You can find them by company name, their email, or their contact name, and normally they'll auto-populate. If they're not already a timer set up on RunSignup, it will send them an invite to be able to do that. You can also add that later if you don't know who your timer is going to be. If you don't currently have a timer and you don't know who you're going to be working with, we do have a great tool for searching for them, the ones that work within your area. And you can just go to runsignup.com/timer search, or you can just do a Google search of find a timer RunSignup, and that will come up as well. And then you can contact all of the timers that work within your area to make sure that you're getting quotes. So we do have a lot of races, particularly small ones, that say they're not going to be working with a timer. And we do absolutely recommend it. Timers can be a valuable resource for a lot of different things. So for small races, why should I use a timer? One is that you're able to provide accurate and reliable results. They typically are using chip timing, mats, or the finish links type of things for precise results. One thing you have to remember is that some people are going to be doing your race that will get like a reimbursement or some kind of incentive from their insurance company, but they need to provide proof that they actually competed in a race. And so the results are really the only way that you can do that. So if you don't provide official results at your race, then you are going to be eliminating a certain percentage of people that are going to be able to come and do it. So data management and reporting, they know a lot about, how many people you're going to be able to expect, what kind of like numbers you can expect on race day, that kind of thing. So they're a valuable resource as far as data management and reporting. Most timers are integrated very well with RunSignup, and they're able to keep that participant data clean and update all the results and everything like that in real time. They can also usually provide you with discounts on t-shirts, medals, things like that. So they're just a really great, valuable resource all around. So in step 2 of the Race Wizard, this is going to be basic information about each event that you set up in step 1. You're going to want to make sure that you put in the proper distance, such as 5K or 3.1 miles. So that way, when someone goes to our race calendar and they're looking specifically for a 5K or a 3.1 mile race, they'll be able to pull it up. Same thing with, whatever distance that you're offering, making sure that that distance is correct. The age calculation date is not something that you really have to fill out. This is usually specific to triathlons that will be posting results based on how old you are in that year. So if the race is in March, but you're turning 20 in December, it's still going to put you into that 20-year-old age group. And that's what that age calculation date is based on. Additional event information. This is only going to show up in one spot, and that's going to be on the event details page. And to be honest, not a lot of people actually find that page. So keeping it short and just letting them know that like this is a trail run, something like that, and not getting too detailed in the event information would be helpful here. Step 3 of the Race Wizard is your registration periods and your price points. So you're going to want to make sure that you are offering at least 3 different price increases. We recommend that you offer an early bird pricing, regular pricing, and then a late registration or day of registration fee. So how long those periods run, you're going to want to base off of like how long you have until you register. Your early bird pricing should be long enough to create some excitement, a little bit of buzz about your race, but also create some urgency about registering and getting that lowest price point possible. Your regular registration period is going to be your longest registration period, offering for several weeks or months leading up to your race. And then your late registration period is just kind of like that you should have registered earlier incentive, and not really increasing it too much, but letting them know that they can get in cheaper for next year if they do it just a couple of days early. You usually do see a peak or like a peak in registrations right before the deadlines of your price increases. So they are a really great marketing tool in getting people to register early for those events. Step 3 is where you can also set up your waiver. Here you can choose how you want them to agree to that waiver through checkbox, signing their name, using their initials, their name and date, and it just depends on your organization and what you guys are going to be requiring. These waivers do, of course, stay on file forever as long as your race is on the platform, so there's no need to be able to print those out, okay? You can also add up to 3 additional waivers if you need to. That's not going to be done in the Race Wizard. That will be done through the race dashboard by going to race, registration, dates, pricing, and options. These waivers are all completely customizable, but it gives you a good baseline of what should be in those waivers. Step 4 is where you can provide a giveaway option. With a lot of small races, they get confused on what's between a giveaway and an add-on purchase. The giveaway should be something that is given within that registration. So it's their free item, their thank you for running that race. Usually that's going to be like a t-shirt or a hat or a towel, a bag, something like that. So it defaults to a t-shirt when you turn it on, and you can always edit the option descriptions such as small, medium, large, extra large, and you can get rid of those. If you only are offering like a bag, you really don't need to toggle on your giveaway option because it's just a one size type of thing. If you are offering people to be able to purchase a t-shirt, then you're going to want to do that through our registration add-ons and not through that giveaway option. The additional or the extra price, which is optional, is going to be usually like when you have a double XL t-shirt that costs you $3 more to order that t-shirt, you can pass that cost on to the participant there, but you really don't want to just use this as a way for people to be able to purchase t-shirts because it doesn't give them a very good option to say, no, thank you, I don't want one. On step 5 of the Race Wizard is where you're going to be personalizing your page a little bit and just getting some of your branding opportunities in there. We always recommend that every race uploads a unique and custom logo specific to either the organization or the race itself. You can also upload your banner image in this area. And then you can also change some of the wording options on it. You can get into more ways that you can customize your page in separate areas in the race dashboard that we'll cover in a little bit. The banner image is going to need to be a minimum of 2400 by 800 to be able to display correctly. And then you can change the wording for events such as like wave. I can't even think of other options. So wave or waves are going to be one way that you can customize the wording for events. You can hide the display, you can hide the event start times, and you can choose to hide the events that are closed with registration. So if you have one that's closing early, or if you have a cap on them and it's going to close, it'll actually hide that event tile there. All right, so step 6 is going to be where you're going to create that new payment account. So you have 3 options on this page, which would be just to create that new payment account, which is the orange tab there. You can use an existing payment account. So if you already have a payment account set up on RunSignup, you're able to apply that payment account right to every race that you set up. You have the other options, which is where you're going to send setup instructions by email to the appropriate person. So if you are working with an organization and you're not necessarily going to be that person that sets up the payment account, you can email the instructions. If you're a timer or a partner that's with us and you need to email it to the race director, you can do it there as well. You can choose to set up that payment account later, just so that you can get through and you can get through that race wizard and you can continue working on your page itself. If you're not sure if you're wanting to use RunSignup or if you want to test registration to make sure everything is set up the way that you want it, you can put it into test mode. And then if you are offering a free event, you will want to make sure that you pop it into volunteer and free event mode. If you are using the volunteer and free event mode, you will not be able to use certain items such as our email marketing that is exclusive for races that do have a payment account on RunSignup. We recommend best practices is that you will set up your payment account as soon as possible. It can take several days if the manual checks are needed. So make sure you start this process several days before you plan on opening registration and not the day of, because you won't be able to get your registration open when you want. There's going to be some kind of delay. So the verification process, Adyen actually verifies all payment accounts with an actual person. So someone is going in there and actually looking at all of the payment accounts, and they will either approve or deny your payment account based on the information that you've provided. They use a system called Nacha, and so it goes through the Nacha checks, and about 50% of payment accounts are going to need additional information. And this is because your bank does not participate in the Nacha system. And the way that you have to provide additional information is a document that needs to be uploaded. It's not necessarily because you've done anything wrong. You could have made a mistake on that application, but more than likely it's just because your bank is not participating in the system. So the accepted documents that you can upload is going to be a voided check, which tends to be the easiest form of verification for your bank, the most recent bank statement, but only the first page of it, a letter from the bank, and then a screenshot of your online banking, which tends to be the least successful because there are a lot of different things that you need on that screenshot that you can't get off of your mobile app and or even off of the desktop. So we're going to cover each of these in detail so that you know what is required on each of these items when you're going to be submitting them. So the first one, and the most popular that is used for verification, is a bank statement. As I said before, you really can only upload the very first page of your statement. It needs to be dated within the last 2 months. Anything past that is going to be an automatic failure, and you will need to upload a new statement. We really recommend the most recent statement just to be sure. It does need to have the full account name. That has to match the legal entity. If your name on the bank account is different than your legal entity, you need to use the section that says DBA or name on bank account is different, and make sure that it matches exactly. So if you have LLC on your bank account, but not on your legal entity, then you're going to make sure that it says LLC on your application. It does have to have the account number. They prefer the full account number, but a lot of times it only shows the last 4 digits, which I haven't really seen an issue with that as of yet. It does also need to have the bank name and the logo, as well as the most recent date of that statement. I think the easiest form of verification, like I said, is a check. That seems to be the quickest. The things with the check is that the check must be blank with the exception of the void notation. So it can't be a used check. It has to be completely blank, and then you just write void on it. It does need to have the full account name. And again, that has to match that legal entity, or you use that DBA section. It has to have the full account number, the routing number, and it cannot be a starter check. Okay, so if this is a new bank account, unfortunately, those starter checks are not going to work. A verification letter. So if you are getting a new bank account, or you have a new bank account, you may not have a statement yet, you don't have any actual physical checks, you will have to go and get a verification letter. Okay, so on this letter, you're going to have the full account name that matches the legal entity, or you're using that DBA section. It does have to state the full account number, the full routing number. The date on the letter has to be within 1 month, and it does require the employee name and signature. If you don't have all of those requirements on that letter, it will be automatically denied. I think I actually forgot to put on there that it does need to be on bank letterhead. And I apologize for that. I can update it before we send out this, but it does need to be on bank letterhead with the full bank name as well as their logo. And then the least successful one, but it can be done, is using a screenshot of your online banking environment. The things with this is it does have to have the bank name, the bank logo. It has to have the full account name. Again, it has to match that legal entity, or using that DBA section. It has to have the full account number, the routing number, as well as today's date, or a date, I think dated within the last month of that screenshot. So to get all of that in one screen typically is not very successful. And I actually have not seen a screenshot be approved. I've heard it can be done, but I don't think any of us have actually seen one that has been successful with it. So just keep that in mind and work on getting one of the other verification items. So some of the common mistakes that we have that lead to rejected payment accounts, or ones that take a lot longer than just 48 hours. Ripped or stained images. It should be like essentially a perfect image, no rips, no stains, nothing wrong with the actual document itself. Some people don't have a phone, maybe, I'm not really sure, but they try to take a picture on their desktop computer, and they end up taking a selfie within that image, and those are going to be automatically denied. It needs to be an image of just the document that's required. Blurry images, so if it's not readable, even just a little bit blurry, you're going to want to make sure you retake that. I would make sure that you have that document laying flat on a contrasting surface to make sure that it's not blurry. Old documents, I think the oldest one that I saw was 5 years. They uploaded a bank statement from 5 years ago. Used checks that were previously written out to somebody else, or incorrect documents. A lot of people will try to use a deposit slip or banking agreements, thinking that the banking agreement will suffice as the letter, and it does not. It absolutely has to be a letter specifically pointing out the items that we talked about in the previous slide, and the deposit slips just won't match at all. And then, of course, if you have mismatching data, meaning that either you mistyped your legal entity name, or your bank account numbers are incorrect or your routing numbers are incorrect, then it will not go through. So sometimes you'll get a pending completion by RunSignup, which means that our risk team does need to do a quick manual review and just make sure that everything is matching and everything is looking good. That usually is rectified within just a couple of hours, and it doesn't take very long to get that approval, but so you can open up registration. On occasion, we're not able to get a match on your legal entity and the EIN that you have put in. So then our risk team will actually ask you for an IRS letter stating what your EIN and your legal entity name is. If you don't have that letter, that's actually okay. You just need to be able to provide us with the exact legal entity name that matches the EIN that you have. So you don't have to stress about it too much if you can't find that IRS letter. The payment account approval, when that happens, you'll usually receive or you will receive an automated email, and then usually the onboarding representative that you're working with will reach out and give you a call and let you know that the payment account has been approved and you guys are all set to open up registration whenever you are ready. And at that point, we will introduce you to your next level of support. Once that payment account is approved, step 7, you can finish up with our recommended settings. And just remember that these settings are recommended and you can easily turn them off by unchecking them there. Make sure you read through each of them. If you don't turn them off in the race wizard and you click save and finish, you'll have to be able to toggle them off in different locations within the race dashboard. So some of the things that are recommended and are automatically enabled for you, unless you click them off, would be the event insurance. The event insurance is something additional that the registrant can purchase, protecting their registration, meaning they have to cancel, they get sick, they get hurt, whatever the case is, they can go through that third party and claim their event insurance if they would like to. There's no reason to not offer event insurance. And the one thing that it does is it will strengthen your no refund policy because you are giving them an option to be able to get that insurance to protect their registration. You also do get a small revenue share back from the insurance company, Red Shield, for every insurance policy that is offered. So it's just kind of a win-win situation for you and your participants to have that peace of mind. Our referral rewards is automatically enabled, and this is just a really great marketing tool where you can allow people to refer your race to their friends and family and get them to register with the potential to earn some money back. You can set that limit to anything that you want. And you can allow them to register 3 friends and get $5 back or whatever the case is. You guys would need to talk about that. We do cover referral rewards in a different webinar if that's something that interests you. Our incomplete registration email is a really great automated email that you don't have to do anything with. It will just simply invite people to come back and complete their registration if they abandon it at any point. And then the price increase email will go out to past participants and letting them know that they should get in there and register before that price increase email. It usually goes out a couple of days before that price increase, and then you would see that spike in your registrations. And you just have to uncheck anything that you don't want to have activated. All right, so the race dashboard is going to be covered by Katie, so I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to her.
Yeah, so, as Val went through the race wizard, and once you've completed that, you've gotten to the last step, you can jump into your race dashboard, and there's a number of different tools and features that I'm going to go through and touch on, and also talk about kind of how to navigate through the dashboard and find different things within it. All right, so first, just how to access your dashboard. There's a few different ways you can do it. These steps on the left-hand side are showing you if you go to your your profile from using the profile image up on the right-hand side of RunSignup.com. You can click My Races, and that will jump you into a list of races that you have. And if you click into those races from there, you'll access your race dashboard. The other option would be if you're on your race website. So you're on the front end of the website, the public-facing side, and you click the profile icon in the top right again. If you're logged in as a director, you'll see the option for race dashboard, and you can click into it from there. Next are the search components that are within the dashboard. So in the top right, which is actually the left-hand image, there's a participant search. So you can search by name or bib or email, and then that's going to pull from your participant report. So it will bring up any searches that fall within the range that you've put into that search. And then on the left-hand side of the dashboard, there's all of the menu tabs that you can go through with the different settings, and then there's a menu search up at the top. So this will search the different tools and settings within the dashboard and search in the tabs. So you can search for anything, if you're looking for, registration options, and you start to type in registration, it will populate all of the different registration options in there. Then on within the dashboard, you'll see your signups up in the top right. And if you click this drop down, it kind of has a lot of data that's within it that you can expand, and you can view your total signups. It shows registration dollars, and then you're also able to compare from previous event years. So it shows your last 3 years of data, and it's showing you, your total signups over that year, total registration dollars over that year. You can break it down by event options, and then the last 30 days and the days remaining fields, those are kind of highlighted because that's showing you from the event, the actual the race date, whereas the top options, the total registrations, the this year column is showing you what's happening this year, your current registrations, but looking at previous years, it's showing you total. So it's not giving you a comparison from the specific date. And then going through another feature we have is custom questions. So you're able to add virtually any questions that you want to ask your participants that doesn't fall in the basic registration information collection. We obviously caution you not to ask any sort of personal questions or anything that has very important or private information. But as far as just standard questions that we offer, and we always recommend, having emergency contact information, and then you can also check to sign up for text messages. So what this will do is ask the participants if they want to input their phone number for text message updates from the race, they can do that, and then they can opt in to receive those texts. Below this, you'll see other options of adding any custom questions. So we have different ways you can ask the question. You can choose from multiple choice responses. You can allow them to enter a text field response, yes, no. So different question types there as well. Sorry, I think there's a bit of a lag when Val changes the slide. That's why there might be a bit of a gap here. As the next thing to talk about is the participant report. This is a big go-to page for all of our race directors. So obviously it's viewing a list of all of your participants. It's going to be under participants, and then view participants in your dashboard. And the default will show some basic information. So we'll just show like the registrant name, the registration date, what event they're registered for, some basic contact information. And then from this page, you can actually, if you look on the right-hand side of that image, there's an edit registration column where you can manage the registration. You can make edits to their information. You can defer it, transfer the event, and we'll touch a little bit more on those options as well moving forward. Then within the report, I talked a little bit about how what the default view shows, and you can adjust the default view using these different search parameters. So if you click search change event up at the top of the report, you can search based on specific registrant information. You can also use the event dropdown to select a specific event within a certain year, or you can go back in and view previous registrant data. So for every year that your race was on RunSignup, you'll see all of those different years listed, and you can select to view participants from any of those past years as well as the current year. And then just a little bit more on the different parameters you can use on the reports. The report option, you'll see under Customize View, it allows you to select which columns you want to show within your report. So there are a whole bunch of different columns that you can show. A lot of this is going to depend on, the different features that you have enabled. So if you have registration add-ons, you can select to show those, and then it's going to show which registration add-ons are associated with that registration. You can show teams and fundraisers, virtually anything that's associated with the registration you can show here. So you'll just check off those columns that you want to show in the report, and then you rerun the report and it will pull those columns in. The other thing to note is the export options. So we have a list of different export options that you can download the report from. You can choose when you're exporting if you're downloading all of the columns or if you're downloading just the specific columns that you're looking at at that given time. And then with another option in the dashboard, which you can also enable on the first step of the race wizard, but if you forget to do that or you want to go back and edit these settings, you can enable donations within the dashboard. You can set up a donation description, build out your donation page. We always recommend setting up donation levels just to give suggestions for what most of your donors are going to be choosing from. They may not know what an appropriate amount to make a donation is, so giving them suggested levels, and you can get creative with it and give them different names for the levels as well. And then coupon codes is a big one. We see this, if you have specific groups like sponsors that you want to give coupon codes to, you can offer them a variety of different discount options. So the first thing is just inputting the name of the coupon code. That's going to be essentially the code name that they're inputting at checkout when they register to actually take that discount off. You can set a percentage or a dollar discount amount. You can choose the discount type, so whether it's per registrant or whether it's just an overall discount from the overall transaction total. You can set eligibility dates. So do you want this to be a special promo during a specific amount of time, or is it going to be open for the entire race registration period? And then you can set parameters on what's able to be discounted. Is it going to cover race registration fees, store fees? And then you can set restrictions on the number of uses as well. And then there's a ton of other discount features that are available. If you go to financial and then pricing in your dashboard, you'll see a list of these, and you can kind of click through. We won't dig too deep into them, but there's different options for setting up family sort of based pricing with multi-person sign-up pricing, age-based pricing. If you have different membership options, you can set up custom memberships. We have multi-event discounts. I mentioned coupons, and there's a number of other discount options that you can explore for your race. And we don't recommend choosing them all. Definitely would recommend only probably choosing one or two of these different discount options. You don't want to turn on too many of these settings and then they overlap and cause issues. And then I'll pass it back to Val for the race website.
Right, perfect. So our race website options, for first-time users can sometimes be a little bit overwhelming. And a lot of people tend to use just our basic default settings, which we really discourage, because the more personalization that you put into your race and really showcase your brand, the more people will come to register for your race. When they're looking at it, they look for color scheme changes, personalized logos, things like that. So really getting creative with your race page is a great way to drive those registrations. So you automatically get a free basic page when you create your race, and then you're able to change that and really elevate it using a lot of different tools that we have. To enhance your brand, to enhance your page, you can showcase your brand. You can add unlimited content, and that's where it's really important. You don't have to add everything under that race description. You can add several pages, as many pages as you want, to make sure that people are able to find the information that they want. One thing with the race description, and when I said keep it short and to the point, I really mean that, because people don't like to read. And if you have 4, 5, 6 paragraphs listed under the event description, people will get bored with it and move on. So they want to be able to read what your race is about under the race description, and then utilizing the menu options, they want to be able to find the information that's important to them, because every single person, what they're looking for is going to be different. Some people really value what that race medal is going to look like, whereas other people really value where they're going to be parking on race day. So you want to make sure that that is separated information, it's not buried in a paragraph, and it's easy and clickable for them to find. So you want them to be able to find the information that's important to them. It makes it look organized, of course, professional, and then including all the information that you have, okay? So in the race theme section, you would find this in the race dashboard by going to race website, race theme, and then race template. You're going to be able to change certain things, such as our vertical or horizontal navigation, and that's just a basic personal preference of what you like. Different design elements, you can add on social media feeds, a tagline, countdown clock. You can change the color scheme. You can always update the logo and the banner image there as well. And then in that section, we also have custom wording, so you can change the word for registration, sign up, things like that, or you can add additional wording options. So if you have a large Hispanic population in your area, you can add the Spanish words for sign up and registrations, donate, things like that, and it'll all display on there. Like I said, you would also upload your logo under there, or you would use one of our basic icons. It's really discouraged to use one of those race logos, but it's fine as a placeholder until you're able to create one of your own. The banner image is, again, really important. If you have images from a previous year, like photos, we recommend that you use those and really highlight and showcase what your race is about. And then just making sure that it displays properly. You don't necessarily have to put the race name on your banner. That will automatically show, but you can also hide that under this section. So if you put your race name on your banner, you can hide the overlay that RunSignup automatically puts on there, so it doesn't look too busy. You can also add, like we said, unlimited pages. You can do this with our basic website by using our custom content section. And so you would be able to create like a FAQ section, parking, packet pickup, that type of thing, and be able to create different links to help guides that we have for our participants, or you can add in your own custom information. An FAQ page is usually very popular and one of the most visited pages for our events. So keeping that in mind and creating that and answering any questions that you have. And your FAQ page can be updated whenever you need to. So I think that is everything, Ben. Thank you for joining us today. We will reach out with those with answers to your questions. Feel free to email anybody on our team. It's just our first name and then at runsignup.com. So we look forward to answering your emails and helping you guys get onboarded for a successful race.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.